The first episode occurred when I was 17 years old. As I got up to go to the bathroom, I suddenly heard two thuds and found myself in a completely different place. This place was filled with light and love, and I was being cared for by beings of light wearing robes. Meanwhile, my parents heard the sound of my body falling in the bathroom and rushed to help me. My mother was terrified as she saw me pale and lifeless. For me, the experience was incredibly real, more real than anything I had ever known. However, I didn't fully understand it at the time and simply stored it away in my memory, continuing with my life. At the age of 29, I had a remarkable experience while riding a four-wheeler ATV with my stepson. As we were descending a hill at a high speed, I realized we were going too fast to safely navigate the curve at the bottom. I attempted to brake, but something went wrong, and the next thing I knew, I was standing on the hillside. To my astonishment, the ATV was overturned, and I saw myself lying face down beneath it. However, my attention quickly shifted as I noticed two mesmerizing lights approaching me from across the creek. These lights transformed into two beings, both of whom were over 8 feet tall and had a human-like appearance. They had fair pinkish skin and distinctive haircuts, with one having straight platinum blonde hair and the other sporting wavy yellow hair. Both beings were dressed in white robes. I was filled with awe and wonder. In an instant, we ascended rapidly, and before I knew it, we were in a breathtaking place filled with vibrant, brightly colored landscapes. The plants and grass were incredibly alive, as if they possessed consciousness. It's difficult to put into words, but everything in this place exuded joy and happiness, even the plants themselves. I had a surreal experience where I found myself in front of a white, walled city with domed buildings. Two tall beings guided me to a bench and instructed me to wait while they spoke to another tall, slender man. When they returned, they sadly informed me that I couldn't enter the city, which left me devastated as I had a strong desire to explore it. However, they assured me that I could come back in the future. Despite their gentle and loving demeanor, they were firm in their decision. Suddenly, I was pulled back into my physical body. In reality, I was trapped underneath a four-wheeler, and my stepson was attempting to free me. Miraculously, I somehow managed to lift myself off the ground and throw the vehicle off of me, causing it to tumble down a hill. Thankfully, neither of us sustained serious injuries, although I was left sore and bruised. My stepson, on the other hand, emerged unscathed after being thrown through the air and landing safely. This experience had a profound impact on me, as it felt more real than reality itself, and despite my strong desire to return, I knew I couldn't stay there. After years of anger and sadness, I found myself in a hospital undergoing tests for my heart condition. During one particular test, known as the tilt table test, something extraordinary happened. As I lay on the table, I suddenly felt myself leaving my body and entering a twisting, turning corridor. Above me, there was a radiant, multicolored light that emanated pure love and goodness. I was immediately drawn to it, my sole focus becoming reaching that light. As I got closer, however, I was abruptly pulled back and found myself hovering above the area. It was then that I realized I had been navigating through a massive labyrinth. In an instant, I was back in my body, opening my eyes to the concerned faces of the doctors. They informed me that I had failed the test in a way they had never seen before. But all I could feel was an overwhelming sense of anger and disappointment at being back in this world. I simply didn't want to be here anymore. During my last near-death experience, NDE, I had an incredibly profound encounter. It all began with intense abdominal pain that had been plaguing me for some time. The pain became unbearable, leading me to visit the emergency room multiple times. Then one morning I woke up to excruciating abdominal pain, worsened by severe diarrhea and dehydration that posed a life-threatening situation. This triggered a syncope episode, a temporary loss of consciousness that seemed never-ending. I fought with all my strength to remain conscious until help arrived. My wife at the time called 911, and a team of first responders rushed to our aid. They transported me out of the bathroom on a wheelchair-like device and brought me to a gurney. They asked me to stand up and get on the gurney, but I was unable to do so. They kindly offered their assistance, standing on either side of me and helping me to my feet. It was later revealed to me that my body had collapsed to the ground, my eyes wide open, and my mouth making gurgling sounds. In an instant, I found myself in a place filled with radiant golden light and overwhelming love. It was as if I was standing in a boundless expanse of light. I noticed a group of beings made of pure light, and I couldn't help but wonder who they were. Almost immediately, they approached me, about a dozen of them. Among them was a stunning woman with auburn hair, dressed in a white robe, emanating light from her very being. She exuded power and authority, yet her love was all-encompassing. The love surrounded us, enveloping us all. We were connected through this love light. We began to communicate, and in that instant, I knew everything about her, and she knew everything about me. It was then that I realized I was home. I recognized everyone, and they recognized me. As I write this, tears stream down my face. Every time I reflect on this experience, it moves me to tears. The individuals in the experience were not just my grandmother and father as I knew them on earth, but rather the eternal beings that I have always known. The love between us was immense. It became clear to me that this is where we all originate from. I also realized that a part of me had been away on earth, attending school. They were overjoyed that I had returned and admired me for my time spent away. In that moment, I gained instant knowledge and understanding, although I am unable to recall all of it in my current physical state. The experience was overwhelming, with a flood of information, images, and knowledge. During my spiritual experience, I had a conversation about Jesus and received a clear message that he is who he claims to be and that he will return. When I asked when this would happen, I was told soon. It seemed that even the beings I was communicating with were unsure of the exact timing, but they were filled with excitement about it. In my vision, I saw an old farmhouse that held a special significance to me, although I couldn't understand why. I also learned that we reincarnate on Earth multiple times, and that there are other realms beyond our earthly existence. The purpose of coming to Earth is to learn and grow, as we gain valuable lessons about love and goodness through both pain and joy. These experiences shape us in profound ways. I was informed that I would only stay in this realm until my physical body was sufficiently healed, so that I could return to inhabit it again. This news devastated me, as I didn't want to leave. However, I was gently placed back into my body, and as the woman leaned in to kiss me goodbye, I was suddenly pulled away. Before departing, I received one final message: trust in the Lord. After being resuscitated, I regained consciousness to find my stepson anxiously trying to wake me up. I was in a state of distress, with my feet elevated and unable to get a blood pressure reading. My heart rate had dropped to 30 beats per minute. Eventually, I was airlifted to another hospital where I remained for several days. However, there are gaps in my memory during that time period, as I have no recollection of what happened. Years later, while in Tennessee with my family, we accidentally got lost in the countryside and pulled into a driveway to turn around. To my surprise, the farmhouse in front of me was the exact same one I had seen during my near-death experience. It was as if time had stood still. Additionally, I haven't shared this with many people, but the woman I saw during my NDE who had auburn hair is now my granddaughter. It's a deeply personal and profound realization that I hold within me. This story was shared by Timothy V and happened between 1983 and 2004.